story time again. I was looking for a camera for my coworker. She had a very strict budget, very strict, of around $1,000 Australian, around $1,500 US, both a camera and a lens. She told me she wants to go travel and mainly shoot photos. Try to honor as well as I could, but as a video nerd myself, I had to judge the cameras a little bit for the video quality. We first agreed on Panasonic S5, of course. You know, from my last video, the video I'm gonna link here. I think it's like bang for buck, probably the best camera you can buy. And it would max out her budget pretty much on to the last cent. You find them around here with the 2260, which I think is an amazing starter lens for around 1,000 to 1,000 Australian dollars. Again, 1,500-ish American dollars. You have to search a little bit, but you can get lucky. Actually, someone I vaguely knew was selling one for this price, but that was picked up fairly quickly. And another one that was being sold on the local marketplace here, actually another friend of mine bought, who switched back to Micro Four Thirds, but then wanted full frame again. Price was biggest constraint, of course. I tried to push her to go for something that's like maybe $500 more. She probably could get something that satisfied most of her needs. Like for 1,500 here, you can get a Sony a7 III, probably only a kit lens, and a worse kit lens than the Lumix, or a cheap prime lens only. And also you could have got S5 and a 50mm and a 2260, and that would have been an amazing combo too. But I think the Lumix probably would be a little bit harder to learn on than Sony would be, mainly because of autofocus. And yeah, mainly because of autofocus. She also could get the S9 almost with a kit lens too, and I think that obviously would make a really smooth travel setup. But again, that would pushing her budget too much, and she was quite clear that $500 or every $100 more or less would probably go towards another plane ticket to another city in Europe, which I couldn't argue with. I would probably do the same. So I try to actually stay under the budget we talked about. But yeah, the options with a little bit more, that 1,500 Australian dollar mark, you could have got also pushed towards Fuji, something quite viable, like an S10 or even the new XM5, which probably would suit her quite well. It's definitely aesthetically very pleasing and nice and small and lightweight. But other than that, Fujifilm very much have no chance around here and probably anywhere in the world to find anything under that limit. Because of the photo first part, I thought full frame would still be she would like the most, or probably get the most out of it. But yeah, obviously travel wise the hardest, and budget wise, especially if you consider lenses, very difficult. Again, for the Lumix, a 20-60 keeps you going if you have one camera, one lens set. For Sony, for the a7 III, I think a good lens combination would have been very difficult to find for that budget. Happy to prove me otherwise. If you find a cheap second-hand lens, please let me know in the comments. Maybe I overlooked something. But yeah, I think the Sony kit lens, that little zoomy one, would be terrible. And the Tamron 28-75, even second-hand, would be way out of budget. Yeah, but if you have any other ideas, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to read them, and I will reply to all of them. I still have no experience with the Sony APS-C line, so I had to kind of ignore that because I just don't know much about them. Maybe a 6500 and a lens would have been a decent combination. The Sigma lenses, the f2.8s, probably would have been amazing as well. But yeah, harder to find two around here. I saw an amazing deal of an Olympus OM5 Mark II with the 12 to 40 and the 40 to 150, and I picked it up right away on a rainy Friday night, and I thought, if I sell the 40 to 150, I can definitely give her the EM5 Mark II with the 12 to 40 for a super good price, way under an S5 with kit lens. So I went for that, and obviously I had some time to play with it, and I would like to share my experiences with that with you here now. I only had it for quite a short time, but right away when I held it, I was shocked how well it was built. I think that's the pre-COVID build equally as well as some of the Fujis around that era. Metal build, so it was fantastic. Even compared to the S5 and especially the S9, I think build quality wise, it's like pushing Leica territory there. I haven't seen that from any camera brand, especially not from a mid-range model. I've heard the newer ones are not as well built anymore. Again, it's like that pre-COVID build that is significantly better. I used that 12 to 40 millimeter a while ago, a couple of years ago with a GH5, so that was a great lens. And I think for her as a starter, a zoom lens would be way more versatile and easier to find out what you like. And also for traveling, I think going from wide to tight is very beneficial, and yeah, gives you a good idea what you can, which focal range you enjoy. And if you really get into it, I told her she can then pick up a prime lens from Olympus or Panasonic without making her back much heavier or losing more chances for a plane ticket. Also, I have to say, I was never a huge fan of the look of the Olympus cameras, but after holding it and playing with it, I actually think it's one of the nicer looking cameras, and also a camera that's very nice to hold. And luckily, I think I'm on the minority about the Olympus bodies. The layout generally that's not as visually pleasing. I think other people, and especially her, she really enjoyed how the camera looks. So yeah, she was definitely happy in that regard. Okay. Just going back to the build quality, it's like really fantastic. Even the buttons are all clicky. It's weather sealed to a higher degree than like any other mid-range camera, and just by the feel of it, I would also trust it more. It has the flippy screen, like personally not my first choice, but I think, or actually I know that she really enjoys that because she's much younger and possibly more vain, or that generation at least enjoys the flippy screen more. Of course, there are some limitations, mostly because of the sensor size, and I explained to her too that with lower light she has to be a bit more careful and also make sure that she keeps her f-stop at around 2.8 when she's going indoors or is finds herself after dusk. But again, it is for a mid-range model, has amazing stabilization. You can actually hand hold it even as a beginner without too much practice right away up to like a 1 second shutter speed. Yeah, I'm also again quite enjoying having that limitation of a smaller sensor and the challenge of working a little bit harder. I enjoy that so much that I actually picked up another Olympus camera for myself because yeah, I'm really enjoying their bodies now and their computational stuff. This one doesn't have this EM10 Mark II. This one doesn't have the cool HDR button on top, which was really fun to use right away. But I think I will push for an OM1 in the near future, on EM1 Mark III. One of the things that bug me the most about Olympus is their naming convention. That's really terrible. I trip over myself all the time with those. But yeah, I will also do a mini review about this EM5, EM10 Mark II. This is more regarding the EM5 Mark II, which again, build quality much nicer than this one. But still, like the EM5 Mark II still has Wi-Fi. The app worked fine to transfer stuff. I think that's very important for someone on the run and not necessarily super versed in any editing software, or doesn't even understand the difference between RAW and JPEG yet. But again, everything inbuilt with Olympus is really easy to use and actually fun to use too, that you can adjust highlight and shadow levels in camera and do some editing right away. It's really cool. It doesn't have USB-C charging or any charging in camera, which is not ideal, but I'm generally the guy who, or I'm generally recommending anyway to get a dual charger and a second battery. It's something you should have, as it is a small battery, and you will probably run through it easily if you shoot a lot. Funny enough, I already gave her the camera for an event she had and she wanted to test it. And then she already told me too, which she didn't tell at the beginning, that she wants to do more video. So I was lucky that I put some emphasis on some half-decent video features. I mean, it's not 4K, but 1080p, especially if you don't plan to edit, that's probably the right way to go anyway. As well as the flippy screen comes really in clutch if you want to film yourself, and I think that's the kind of filming she would like to do, that old school vlogging type. Yeah, and she also mentioned that she will, on her travel, probably go past Everest Base Camp, which then the weather sealing of the OM5 Mark II definitely will come in handy. And anything that doesn't have a weather sealing that's that highly rated, probably a bad idea to bring up there. So yeah, I think the EM5 Mark II was a great decision for her. Great budget camera. I enjoyed it so much that I picked up the EM10 Mark II for now, and probably will work my way up to an EM1 Mark II, 3, or maybe even OM1, as yeah, I really enjoy that build quality and usability with all the computational stuff. And I think, and I always have like a soft spot for Micro Four Thirds in my heart, as I'm interested in any kind of surf photography and some birding as well. And yeah, the portability is something that becomes more and more important for me as well. I really like most of the lenses for Micro Four Thirds. This 25 1.4 that came with the EM10, the Leica Panasonic one, such a cool lens. I mean, I think it looks great. It works really well on this body, and I'm sure it would work well on the EM1. And then again, like I said, I got the 12 to 40 again as well, and the 40 to 150 I kept. I'm gonna keep from that EM5 Mark II. And yeah, that 40 to 150 is an amazing lens as well. So yeah, lens-wise, I will have 12 to 150 or 24 to 300 in full frame terms, and one very fast 50 prime, which 50 is still my favorite focal length. So yeah, I think that will going forward be my setup. And then I still have my S9 if I actually go travel and go somewhere, which is not a Everest Base Camp. I would not take it up there. And yeah, I think I'm pretty much sorted camera-wise for a while. Yeah, thanks for listening. I was way too slow talking again. Trying something new with going from paragraph to paragraph. I didn't go in too deep about all the features of the EM5. And their not amazing menus and sometimes confusing symbols. Maybe I will do that if I have an EM1, or I go in depth on the EM10. Probably, most likely, because I'm still trying to film myself and talk to this camera more. Anyway, thank you. I'm gonna head to bed.